at the end of the day, Dre Harris always says, bigger people beat smaller people in the NFL. And there's not going to be many people that are bigger than Daniel Faalele.
This guy might not be super highly rated for us, but he is one of my favorite players just based off his background and his story and his path. We're talking about Minnesota offensive tackle Daniel Faalele, who we have graded as a high 3 in this year's NFL draft class. And this is a player who had 6'8", verified, 384 pounds, verified, 35.13-inch arms, verified, and 11-inch hands, verified. Fun fact, that's twice the size of Joe's hands.
Yeah.
Daniel Faalele came to Minnesota with endless Division I offers without ever having played football until he got to the United States, which was his junior year of high school. Right? So naturally, with this size, he was discovered by Michigan at a American rugby or a rugby camp in Australia. When we consider Daniel Faalele, how short of a time he's been playing offensive tackle, 2 years of high school ball and now his career in Minnesota, and oh, by the way, he did sit out the 2020 season, so he lost a season of college ball with the COVID pandemic. Where's the ceiling for a player like this? Where's the floor for a player like this? I'd open it to all of you.
I think it depends where you play him. So I think he's a right tackle only. And the ceiling to me is a guy like what Orlando Brown was for the Ravens, right? I think there's a lot of similarities in terms of their overall skill set and deficiencies as players, which gets me really excited about his upside, right? I mean, there's not many human beings that are, what is he, 6'8", like how 350? What was his weight?
384, and he lost 20 pounds to get there.
And then the 11-inch hands. I mean, this is a rare human.
Yeah.
And he moves a lot better than you would expect a guy his size. And so, the technique stuff still needs to get ironed out. He's still new to football. He's still kind of new to the movements and the technicalities of the game. But at the end of the day, Dre Harris always says, bigger people beat smaller people in the NFL. And there's not going to be many people that are bigger than Daniel Faalele. And so to me, I think this kid's ceiling is really, really high. It's just a matter of him continuing to progress, continuing to refine his technique, because some of the things he can do in the run game, he engulfs defenders. Just the knockback power he has, the ability to stay square and attached in pass protection. He has that length. He can really make it hard for defenders to get around him. You can easily see this guy develop into something really special at the next level.
You mentioned the run blocking, and he run blocks like you would expect for a man of his size. I think he's a really good pass blocker as well, in particular because that's a lot to get around, man. Like, maybe the technique's not fully there, but you have 35-plus inch arms and that type of mass. Yep. That is just a lot to get around. And so where he gets in trouble in pass protection is when people want to attack the B gap, and he doesn't quite have it figured out yet to where he's got to work inside out, right? Like, because you are so much to get around, protect that inside a little bit firmer, and then you'll take that away. And it's like, nobody's going through this, man. And so just kind of figure that out. And obviously, Minnesota didn't have a ton of vertical sets or anything like that, RPO heavy type offense. And so a lot of quick sets and things like that. So he's going to be challenged in different ways, but I think that there's a lot of ability there and opportunity for him to develop that part of his game and become a very secure pass blocker.
I want to interject on that because I'm glad you mentioned the system restrictions with Minnesota and their offense. I think about Tevin Jenkins coming out of Oklahoma State. Call. And obviously he had the back injury too, right? So that was a thing that existed. But you watch Tevin Jenkins on tape and you watch him in the run game, this dude's an ass kicker, right? Like, he's uprooting guys, he's overwhelming them, he's engulfing them at the point of attack at Oklahoma State. But the big question, as it turned out with Tevin, was he played at Oklahoma State in a very high-volume RPO-style offense where your pass concepts, you're blocking run. Right, you're not even taking sets. Right. You're not even short setting. Right. You're blocking run. You're double-teaming with your guard against a three-man front, which we know in the Big 12, everybody runs a three-man fronts and drops 8 in coverage. That's how they play football down there, right? So now Daniel got a little bit of a different experience in the Big 10, but Minnesota was still a very high volume. So like from a muscle memory perspective, he's just not developed that part of his game yet because he hasn't had to be because of the system that he played in. So that's really exciting for what can be uncovered, but you acknowledge that those restrictions are a part of his profile right now because he just hasn't been asked to do it.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest thing is we were able to really see him up close and appreciate the massive size he has when we were at the Senior Bowl. And we talk about just the rawness in his game and from the, him just kind of getting into football late in his life and everything. That's where the kind of mechanical things come into play where those are coachable, right? Making sure he doesn't give up his chest, which can mess with his leverage, especially being 6'8".
Yeah.
That guys smaller than him are able to uproot him if he allows them to. But once he kind of gets that mental processing down, like, okay, I know what I need to do, what I can do, and also what I can't, then he can kind of better defend himself against those guys trying to get up under him to throw off his balance and then try to work their way around him.
Daniel Faalele, fascinating case study. Of course, the last player of anywhere near this stature and background was drafted without ever having played a snap of American football, period. That was Jordan Maitala in the 7th round by the Philadelphia Eagles. We know how that story ended. This is a little different because he's come to the States to play high school and and collegiate football, but it feels like that unlimited potential still exists there, and that's why he's an enticing prospect. We'll see who calls his name. You can kind of see there is a little bit of a void here for offensive tackles after this big four, little bit of a dip. How long's Faalele going to have to wait? Find out.